us now is Ali Soufan, who's a former FBI special agent.
FBI interrogator now offers
terrorism officials
have any theories?
Operating officer.
is a former FBI special agent. Who's now chief operating officer for the Soufan Group.
A global security consulting firm.
Tonight, on the 10th anniversary of 9/11, we bring you the story of someone who's never shown his face on television before, and for good reason. Ali Soufan was one of the FBI's secret weapons in its fight against al-Qaeda. A Lebanese-American, fluent in Arabic, he interrogated al-Qaeda prisoners at secret locations all over the world. Soufan was known for his ability to outwit terrorists, and he's telling his story in a new book, The Black Banners, parts of which have been blacked out because the CIA says they contain classified information. On the day of the September 11th attacks, Ali Soufan was thousands of miles away from Ground Zero, but in a unique position to help find those responsible.
The story will continue in a moment.
What was your first thought?
It was al-Qaeda. Absolutely, I had no doubt in my mind. I had no doubt in my mind. 2 planes at the same time hitting the World Trade Center.
On 9/11, FBI agent Ali Soufan was in Yemen, where his New York-based team had been investigating the deadly al-Qaeda attack a year earlier on the USS Cole. Soufan and his team were preparing to fly back to New York when FBI headquarters ordered him and his partner to stay put. And at this point, every fiber of your being is screaming, I've got to get back to New York.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. I said, New York is under attack, America under attack. We can investigate the call some other time. And the answer was, no, Ali, it's not about the call. It's actually about what happened here. And I was feeling like a knife going in my heart. I felt, what did we miss? What did we miss?
Soufan wondered whether he and his team had missed some hint of the 9/11 plot as they investigated the earlier attack on the Cole, and his mission in Yemen now took on a new urgency. There were already a number of al-Qaeda operatives in custody in Yemen, and for the FBI, Ali Soufan was the right man to question them about 9/11. He had been investigating al-Qaeda for 4 years and knew a lot about its operatives and its ideology. He was fluent in Arabic, a Muslim himself, and at 30 years old, starting to make a name for himself as one of the Bureau's best interrogators of Islamic extremists. What makes a good interviewer or interrogator?
Knowledge and empathy. I think these are the 2 things. You need to connect with people on a human level, regardless if they don't like you, if they want to kill you.
Is it hard to have empathy with someone who's just killed or helped to kill thousands of Americans?
Oh, absolutely. I was with one guy who's telling me he want to slaughter me like a sheep.
What did you say to him?
I kind of like politely put him in his place.
I would like to understand what politely put him in his place means.
We had a fruit next to us, and there's a knife to cut the fruit. I gave him the knife. I said, go ahead and do it now. He looked at me and said, I thought so. So sit down and shut your mouth and let's talk.
Are they trying to turn the situation around? Are they trying to turn it on you?
Well, you know what? There's something that they don't expect when they are being interrogated by Americans. They don't expect a person comes with them, they have like tea, they have coffee, sit down, talk, trying to know each other, trying to build rapport. And that scares them, that shakes them. Because they were trained that we are so evil, and we torture, and we kill. And that is the reason of the rage against us. So they tell you a lot of stuff to piss you off, and then they can say, see, he is evil. So yeah, in my case, I try to deprive them from that.
Do you think the fact that you were a Muslim gave you an advantage in some cases and in some ways?
No, but the fact that maybe I understood the culture, the fact that I genuinely, as a person, have an interest in these kind of things, that probably helped me.
There's been times where you've got into really deep religious arguments with some pretty high-level bad guys.
Well, it happened frequently, yeah.
Did you win those arguments?
Well, I don't know if I convinced them. But I know towards the end I have my confession, and that's what I cared about.
Just 1 week after 9/11, Soufan and his partner found themselves face-to-face with Osama bin Laden's bodyguard, Abu Jandal. He had been caught and imprisoned in Yemen nearly 7 months before 9/11. But now that bin Laden had attacked on U.S. soil, it was important to see if Abu Jandal could help the FBI build a case against those responsible.
He walked, sat on his chair, and literally moved the chair towards the two Yemeni interrogators that's there. And he said, I don't acknowledge them, I don't acknowledge their existence.
And why is he doing that?
He hates us, he hates America.
So how did you get him to open up?
Well, it was a process. We were able to build a rapport with him, and he talked a lot about, revolutions and the history of revolutions. So I started telling him about the American Revolution too, and we got him a book in Arabic about George Washington and the American Revolution that he actually stayed all night reading. He was fascinated by it, but he's practicing a typical counter-interrogation techniques where he gives you what he thinks you know, so you will think he's cooperating.
Soufan says when Abu Jandal looked at a book of photos of known al-Qaeda members, he identified very few and kept passing over the photo of this man, Marwan al-Shihi, one of the 9/11 hijackers. Soufan knew Abu Jandal had cared for al-Shihi years ago when he was very sick.
So the fact that he was not identifying him immediately was a signal to you
Right.
that he was not being honest.
Exactly. So I said to him, so you want to tell me you don't know this guy? Kandahar, December 1999, Ramadan, he got very sick. You were nursing him and putting soup on his lips so he won't get dehydrated. I took the book. I said, let me make it very clear to you. You don't know how many people in the book works for me. You don't know how many people in the book we caught, and they're cooperating. And that is the card that I have to know if you're cooperating or not. So why don't you look at the book again? He identified almost everyone in the book.
Among those Abu Jandal identified as al-Qaeda members were 7 of the terrorists who flew planes into the World Trade Center and the Pentagon. Abu Jandal didn't know they'd been involved in the 9/11 plot because he'd been in prison, and he insisted that al-Qaeda was not behind the attack.
He didn't believe it.
He was very adamant that bin Laden didn't do it.
So what happens then?
And I said, well, I know that al-Qaeda did that. Someone told me. He said, who told you? I said, you did. And he gets so mad, like, you're putting words in my mouth. I never said al-Qaeda did that. I said, do you know who flew the planes into the World Trade Center and the Pentagon? And I took the 7 photos that he identified and put it in front of him. I said, those, my friend, are not my sources. Those are the people who flew the planes. He totally collapsed.
He collapsed?
He put his hands like this on his face and went down. And he started shaking. He knew what he did.
He knew that
He just gave up bin Laden. He just gave up al-Qaeda on 9/11. And after that, the level of cooperation was very different. We ended up spending days and days with him.
Abu Jandal provided nearly 100 pages of information, according to Soufan's FBI report, including intricate details about al-Qaeda's training facilities, communications, and weaponry. It was quite an achievement for someone who might best be described as an accidental FBI agent. Soufan grew up in Lebanon during that country's brutal civil war, and he moved with his family to the U.S. when he was 17. He was a frat boy at Mansfield University in Pennsylvania, planning a career in academia, when a college administrator suggested he apply for a job with the FBI.
When he said that, I was like, as if he was telling me you're going to be like in the circus, or you're going to be a race car driver. I mean, FBI, what are you talking about, People were laughing, my friends.
Your frat brothers.
Yeah, we're laughing. I'm like, they will send you back the application.
A little bit of a challenge.
I mean, I was like, okay. We'll see about that.
In 1997, after getting a master's degree in international relations, he joined the FBI's New York office as a rookie counterterrorism agent. And he was little more than 3 years on the job when he was made the case agent for the FBI's investigation of the attack on the USS Cole. In March 2002, the U.S. captured its first high-value terrorist operative, Abu Zubaydah, after a firefight in Pakistan. Ali Soufan and his partner were called in to assist in the CIA interrogation at a secret location in Thailand. Abu Zubaydah was severely wounded, but still able to communicate. From U.S. intelligence files, Soufan had learned a lot about Abu Zubaydah, and he told us that he put that knowledge to good use right away.
When I first met him, I asked him his name, and he gave me a fake name, a
Dawood.
different name, Dawood. And I said to him, "What if I call you Honey?" And the look on his face was like, that's it, it's over. And he just looked at me, and he just shook his head. He was shocked. Well, Hani is the name that his mother called him as a child. So he knew that I know everything about him.
Why do you think it mattered so much?
It kind of told him that you cannot play games with us. We know who you are.
And what do you think is the most important information that came out of that?
The most important information is identifying Khalid Sheikh Mohammed as the mastermind of 9/11.
At the time, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, or KSM, was on the FBI's most wanted list for other terrorist plots. U.S. intelligence suspected he was involved in 9/11, but the FBI didn't have any evidence of that. Ali Soufan and his partner, Steve Godin, meant to show Abu Zubaydah a photo of someone else on the most wanted list, but they showed Abu Zubaydah this photo of KSM by mistake.
He looks at me and he says, "Don't play games with me, brother. Don't play games with me. You know who this guy. This is Mukhtar. This is a mastermind of the plane operations."
Of 9/11?
That's what al-Qaeda called 9/11, the plane operations.
Mukhtar, that's
Mukhtar.
the name he uses.
That was the alias for KSM.
Did you know that?
No, I had no idea. The only thing I knew at the time, I'm looking for a Mukhtar. So when he said Mukhtar, it kind of like clicked. I looked at it and said, "Oh, Steve, you gave me the wrong photo." And I gave it to Steve so he will know who the mastermind of 9/11 is.
You're playing it very cool, but what's going through your head really?
Holy shit, KSM is a Qaeda guy and he masterminded 9/11?
It was an accident?
Totally. Totally.
Soufan says he believes Abu Zubaydah didn't mean to divulge important information and was trying to give up as little as possible.
So was he well-versed in
different.
counterintelligence
Yes,
techniques?
he's definitely well-versed in counterintelligence, counter-interrogation. He's a smart. He is, I can actually say, borderline genius. I hear a lot of people saying he's an idiot. He's probably one of the smartest people I interrogated.
Soufan thought he and his partner were making progress, but he says everything abruptly changed after 10 days when he was told to stop talking to Abu Zubaydah.
The CTC team, the Counterterrorism Center team, arrived.
Of the CIA?
Of the CIA. So we told them, from our perspective, that he has been cooperating. We just get information that KSM is a mastermind of 9/11. They said, well, yeah, but there's a belief that there's a lot more information, and he's not giving it up yet. So it ended up that there's a plan already decided in Washington that was basically to strategically diminish his ability to resist, as the term was used. We knew that we're going down on a path that's a dangerous path, a path that we haven't been on before. So we had to pull out from the interrogation, and we had to start witnessing something that was really surprising, some technique that we never thought that we will see us doing.
The new techniques Ali Soufan is talking about included nudity, sleep deprivation, and loud music. It was the beginning of the tough and controversial methods that would ultimately include waterboarding and become known as enhanced interrogation techniques. What Ali Soufan witnessed and what he did about it when we come back. The use of waterboarding and other tough new methods, known as enhanced interrogation techniques, led to a very public debate about whether the U.S. was torturing terrorism suspects. The videotapes of those interrogations have reportedly been destroyed, and hardly anyone who participated in them has spoken publicly. Nor has enough information been made public to determine if the techniques were successful. But in April of 2002, FBI agent Ali Soufan witnessed the beginning of the use of these techniques on the U.S.'s first high-value terrorist detainee, Abu Zubaydah. Soufan says he was making good progress with Abu Zubaydah through traditional methods of questioning, but he was told that a CIA contractor hired for his interrogation expertise would be taking control. Soufan then watched on a closed-circuit monitor as a very different approach was used.
The story will continue in a moment.
The plan at the time was to go in and tell Abu Zubaydah one question. Tell him, tell me what I want to know. And if Abu Zubaydah said, what do you want to know, or ask any questions about that, the person is to walk out and say, you know, and walk out. And then they have a continuum of techniques, like, you know, it started with like nudity, and then you have noise, and you have sleep deprivation, and it goes from one stage to another until he decides to cooperate.
This individual, why were they put in charge?
I don't know. Supposedly he's an expert in the field. So I asked him, do you know anything about Islamic fundamentalism? He said no. Have you ever interrogated anybody? No. He basically said no. He knows human nature.
And how does Abu Zubaydah react to this?
He basically stopped cooperating.
The information dried up?
Yes, totally.
Soufan says that after several days with nothing from Abu Zubaydah, he and his partner and a CIA interrogator were allowed to start talking to him once again, and they obtained information that led the CIA and the FBI to capture this man, Jose Padilla, the American citizen accused of plotting to set off a dirty bomb in the U.S.
So your feeling is, at this point, that your technique has started to work again?
You know, we're back. And more information start coming. And then suddenly, out of the blue, they said, wait a second, you guys going to be out because we believe he's not cooperating anymore, which was really shocking for us to hear.
So what did you do?
What can we do? We're watching time pass by with nobody talking to a detainee day after day.
No one even spoke to him?
No, they go in, they say, tell me what I want to know. He says, what do you want to know? And you walk out. Period. That's it. That's the whole interrogation plan, if you want to call it.
So there's something that happens. It escalates to a point where you decide that's it, you're leaving. What is it?
There was a confinement box.
That sounds like a coffin.
Confinement box. And I came one day and I saw it in the facility. And I thought at the time we had the guy cooperating, so what's going on? I mean, that box was not made overnight. There's something going on and we don't know about.
What was the box for?
I don't know. I mean, definitely it's for Abu Zubaydah.
But that was not the kind of technique that you were prepared to stick around for?
No. And I just felt that literally we're playing games. And I really cannot be part of this.
Soufan claims he wasn't the only person that felt that way.
At least one of the CIA guys said, you know what, that's not worth it. I'm not going to do this. He left. He left the location.
Another CIA agent on the ground there?
Actually, yeah, he left before me. And then we finally reported to headquarters that, you know, this, what's happening, as I called it in the DOJ, Department of Justice, Inspector General report, borderline torture. And FBI headquarters said, you know, we don't do that. Just and eventually, after that, they pulled all FBI agents from high-value detainees interrogations.
Soufan never saw Abu Zubaydah again, and only occasionally saw these techniques being used after that. But he claims that when President George Bush addressed the nation in 2006, the American people were being misled.
We knew that Zubaydah had more information that could save innocent lives. But he stopped talking. It became clear that he had received training on how to resist interrogation. And so the CIA used an alternative set of procedures.
I think somebody told the president some fake information, some false information. Zubaydah did not stop talking. Introducing the techniques made him stop talking.
Soufan argues that terrorists like Abu Zubaydah have been trained to expect extremely brutal treatment in Middle Eastern prisons, which is one reason he believes enhanced interrogation techniques are not effective.
If you look at them from an American perspective, you will say, wow, that's torture. But really, that's like saying hello in some jail in the Middle East. I mean, literally, this is not the torture that these guys are expecting. So why do we start going on a path that eventually we're going to hit a glass ceiling? And when you hit the glass ceiling, what do you do?
What do you do?
The detainee calls your bluff. You cannot go back and say, I'm going to build a rapport. That's why you keep repeating the glass ceiling again and again and again and again. Abu Zubaydah was waterboarded 83 times. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed 183 times. What does that tell you? Does that tell you the technique is working?
A number of people in the CIA and the intelligence community told us that Abu Zubaydah did give up information after he was waterboarded, which they say helped save American lives. And that all moral questions aside, the enhanced interrogation program yielded significant intelligence, including information that contributed to the killing of Osama bin Laden.
At least two former directors of the CIA, George Tenet and Michael Hayden, say that enhanced interrogation techniques do work.
Sure.
They have access to more intelligence than you.
Absolutely.
If you don't know everything, how can you be so sure that they don't work?
Because I am privy to a lot of information that also I'm not telling you here.
But is it possible for you to know all the information, everything that may or may not have been gained from these techniques?
I'm not claiming that I know everything. I know what I know.
The one thing that has caused Ali Soufan more anguish than anything else is the thought that the events of 9/11 might have been prevented if, he says, the CIA had shared certain information with him and his FBI team. While they were investigating the attack on the USS Cole in November 2000, Soufan's team learned that this al-Qaeda operative had met with other terrorists in Asia and received a large sum of money. Soufan says he asked the CIA if it knew what this operative was up to.
You made 3 formal requests to the CIA
There was 3 formal
through the
requests.
FBI chain.
Right.
And time and again, the CIA tell you what?
They don't know anything.
But Soufan says he later learned the CIA knew 8 months before 9/11 that this same operative had met in Malaysia with 2 terrorism suspects who would later hijack the plane that crashed into the Pentagon. And the CIA also knew that those 2 suspects were heading to the U.S.
The agency knew that these kind of operatives in Southeast Asia flew to America or they have visas to come to the United States. And somebody decided, let's not share the information.
And if it had been shared with you, what then?
I tried not to think about that. I tried not to think about what could have happened. Maybe thousands of American lives will be spared, maybe.
The CIA told us any suggestion it purposely refused to share critical information on the 9/11 plots with the FBI is baseless, and these allegations diminish the hard work and dedication of countless CIA officers. Ali Soufan left the FBI 6 years ago, and today he runs a security consulting company based in New York. He told us he hasn't been to Ground Zero since the first anniversary of 9/11, and there's a reason for that.
Maybe I'm one of these people who didn't get over it.
Can you tell me why?
Maybe part of me feel guilty. Maybe part of me feels some sort of responsibility of what happened.
But you did your best. You gave your all. Why
Yeah,
would you
but
feel guilty?
if you want to be truthful with yourself, very difficult not to feel, not to kind of like feel that, you know, maybe I could have done something.
Is that why it's hard for you to go to Ground Zero?
Yeah, actually, I went there once on the first anniversary, but that's it.
It's hard for anyone to go there, but why
Yeah,
so hard
absolutely.
for you, Ali?
I don't know.